nothing but faith. There's things far too great that I want to accomplish. I'm hoping 25 hours a day, but something good works out, and I'm just like, dang. Think everything's gonna be okay. Yeah, I'm like, dang. Think you might just know the way. I'm like, dang.
Welcome to Dang.
Dang. Hi, I'm Todd Bridges.
And I'm Bettijo. Welcome to season 2 of our podcast, Dang.
Yes, that's right.
A little bit of changes around here.
Lots of changes.
Yes. Well, I'm excited about today's episode. I think it's a really important topic. We're talking about negativity.
Yep, and how to self-talk, shapes your life. How does it shape your own experiences in your life?
Yeah, that little voice that's inside your head that you have no choice but to listen to. And you know what?
And some people got more than just one voice in their head.
That's true. That's true. Actually, my friend told me a theory about that. Do you want to hear it?
Okay, what's your theory?
Okay, so my friend is this therapist, and she said that when we have a trauma happen to us, it creates a split off of our personality at that age. So she said, if I actually think it's kind of true. She studied it. She's a practicing
Then I
therapist.
must have 7 or 8 of those then, because
It's true.
I definitely have had a lot of trauma. So splits are, what did you say? Huh? Oh, sorry.
Well, but it makes you react actually at that age level or that kind of maturity level that you were when the trauma occurred. You kind of almost revert back to that. And I've seen that. I don't know if I can share these examples with my kids, but I've seen this play out, and I actually think it's true. And so if you think about it, like if you're feeling like a 12-year-old, you're feeling kind of like this immature sort of reaction to something, you may have triggered that part of you.
That's what we say when you use drugs, you stop growing at that point. When you start using drugs, emotionally you stop growing. So you started at 20-something, that's where when you first get sober, that's where you're starting from. You're starting over. So you're starting from 1 year old all the way up, is what they say.
And you have to kind of re-heal that.
Yeah.
She said that in her therapy, sometimes she will have them try to seek out that part within them. It's really interesting to think about. I'm not even sure how you would go about making that happen. But basically, the current person, that your current personality, who you are now, tries to meet up with that part internally and hold them and comfort them and help them heal.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I guess this is why therapy sometimes.
I don't think I will be holding myself, but okay.
You wouldn't say, it's okay, Todd.
No.
It's all right.
Probably not.
It's all right, 12-year-old Todd. I'm going to be just fine. It will say,
it's okay, Todd. It's fine to go ahead and choke them. It's fine, Todd, to do that.
But that could be that. This relates so much to what we wanted to talk about today, because that could be where some of these negative self-talk.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what is self-talk for a second. Okay, so self-talk is, what we're meaning by that is the voice that you hear, whether it's encouraging you or berating you, but pushing you kind of to do whatever it is that you do. Like, we all have this inner dialogue that's happening inside of our minds. And for some of us, it can be encouraging and positive, but some of us, it's downright hurtful and mean. Like, we are abusive to ourselves. And a good indication, I think, of what is another person's self-talk? Do you know what is one of the best ways to reveal what it is?
What is that?
It's how they talk to other people.
That's not necessarily true, because I think in my brain, what I'm thinking and what I'm being said is not what I'm actually going to tell you.
So that you have a filter in place.
Well, I have the good Todd and the very evil Todd. And sometimes, I may be thinking some evil thoughts, but you may hear something very nice.
So I got that from my therapist that was actually teaching me to have a more positive inner talk.
I agree.
And they were saying that you can look at, and I think you're right. I think if we're being intentional, it's good that you try to filter some of your negative out.
I try to filter some
you
of
really
my,
should.
Well, it's because I have been hurt a lot by the world, so I have a tendency to be angry first.
Yeah.
My first reaction may
reflex.
be angry. That's the reflex anger. Then I have to contemplate in my head, is it going to be positive when I say that? Is it going to be non-positive when I say that? So I think sometimes some people, even when you tell them something that is for them that they should hear, you have to know how to tell them, because if you tell them the wrong way, they're not going to hear it at all.
Right.
So you have to figure out how to tell them where you can get to that inner part of that brain and make them understand, I'm trying to help you out in this situation and show you which is the right road.
Right, like that old adage, you catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar, right? Like you have to understand that you put that filter in place. And I'm talking about kind of maybe even a little bit deeper than that, more of just like that autopilot, the way that we live our lives when you're at the grocery store or you're out and about. Is that talk that's running inside of you encouraging and positive, or is it negative and demeaning?
Yeah, but I also think that men and women are completely different. I think that,
I mean, that's true.
You know, the things that women are, things that they say and their rationalization is different from men. This is why I think kids, need parents. I think kids need parents. They need both parents. Even if they're not together, still they need a father and a mother. Because I think that the way men say things is not going to be the way that a woman is going to think it or say it.
Well, I 100% agree with that. I do think that what we're talking about here with this like negative self-talk versus positive self-talk does not have anything to do with gender, because I know plenty of women that have negative self-talk.
Yes, but I think the negative self-talk when it comes to men and women are going to be completely different.
Right, they'll focus on different things.
Well,
right?
yeah,
like
because I think men are going to focus more on. I think when they talk to women, when they talk to people and they're getting negative thoughts, they're going to really bash themselves, and they're going to make it a lot harder on themselves than a woman can somehow. I think for you being a woman, I think you can still reason better with yourself. I think for us, it's more cut and dry. You guys are looking at different situations, I believe.
I believe that.
We're very cut and dry.
I would be curious.
It's either black or white usually with us.
Interesting.
It's like, kids don't behave, kids get this punishment. That's why men, I think, are better on holding their kids at punishments than the mother is. She can be swayed and moved, and I think men are just like, nope, sorry, I said this, and that's how it's going to be. Got to go. You see what I mean? I think that they know that the mother, because your mother instincts are more like, oh, that's my baby. Okay, I'll give him another chance. I just think that's how it works.
Yeah, but I think it would be a mistake to try to say that all women have this like positivity to us. There's definitely the ability.
No, I'm not saying they have positivity. I'm saying, yes, you guys have negative, but you guys have more steps to it. Our steps are just 1 to 2. You guys have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You got a lot of different
Are you sure there's
steps.
only 6?
You guys probably have more. I would not agree with. I could definitely agree with that. You probably got a lot more. We're just for us, it's either black or white. I just think that for guys, it's black or white. That's why a boy can get in trouble, and 10 minutes later, he forgot all about it. That's not going to happen with a girl.
How come it takes you so long to forget about it?
Oh, no, I've forgotten about it. I just don't feel like talking to people like you guys at the moment when I'm upset.
You guys? Who's the you guys?
Well, I mean that when I'm mad at you, I don't feel like talking to you. That's how it works. But see, you want me to clear it up within 2 seconds, because you cleared it up. But my mind, it ain't cleared up. It's black or white.
It's
step
this so
1
many times.
to 2. I need to take the 2 to realize that I don't need to talk to her for at least 2 hours or maybe a couple days so I can get my mind right. That's just how we work.
All right, 2 hours I will take. A couple days is just ridiculous.
No, it's not. That's how men are.
Okay, so I love that for you. I represent how all women are.
No, you represent how women think.
How all men are.
You represent how your side of the women think. I represent how my side of the men think.
See, that's just such a mischaracterization of reality because there's so many differences. We're all so different.
I don't believe we're all so different. I think that's what makes us seek that we're better than people is by saying that we're completely all different. In this disease, we are taught we are all the same.
What disease?
The Alcoholics Anonymous. We're all the same. There is no, I'm better than you, or I'm here, or I'm thinking different than you. The bottom line is problems are okay, let me ask you a question. Do you get sad?
Yes.
Do you get angry?
Yes.
Do you feel embarrassed?
Yeah.
Okay, name all the feelings. Are mine going to be any different?
No, but
hold on, just hear me out.
Okay.
Are mine going to be any different? You may process it differently.
So you're right. But that changes your experience entirely.
Hold on. I think you could be correct in certain when it comes to a woman. I'm not saying all women are the same. I'm not saying that. There are some women that can be just as cutthroat as men can. But I think that there's a process that men do versus what women do. We're completely like you guys can think left brain, right brain. We don't think left brain, right brain. That's just not how we're not wired that way.
Yeah, I just think you have to be careful, though, when you get into these generalizations. I think it would be easier or like safer, I guess, to just say, this is how you do it, Bettijo, and this is how I do it, Todd, rather than trying to extrapolate that to all of...
But most men that I know think just like us. I hang out with a lot of them and we say all the same things.
Okay.
No, I'm just saying, the men that I know, we all think the same. That's all I'm saying. We do.
So, I liked the point that you made, though, about trying not to feel like, elevating yourself above anyone else. That like any experience somehow makes you better or at a higher level than someone else.
That's what creates racism. That's what creates hate. It's like you can't, just because, even if you have more money than someone, doesn't mean that you're thinking differently than someone. You know what I mean?
I think so much of the time, especially I see it with our teenage kids, that they see the exterior circumstances as creating so much of your reality. And I think that what I've learned as an adult with a lot more of these years of experience is that it doesn't matter those external circumstances.
No.
We create our reality, how we feel, our happiness, that positivity, negativity, like what we're talking about today. It's all created in our minds.
But what will kids tell you? You don't understand. That's the first thing they say. You don't understand, Mom, or you don't understand, Dad. It's like, you don't think I wasn't your age once? You know what I mean? And I think that's where we put ourselves in different circumstances when we act like that you don't understand what someone's going through when we do. We've been there before.
Yeah, everybody's individual life circumstances can really help them to see the world like totally differently.
Yes.
And I do think what I think is really helpful is to have an open enough sort of mindset that you can take feedback from other people's perspectives, just because everybody is seeing the world skewed. And I think once you recognize that even you, so you're seeing it skewed, I'm seeing it skewed, each one of our kids has a different skewed view, that because we all see it so differently, I think you would want to welcome these other perspectives, because it helps you to kind of get the map more into view of what's reality, right? Because if you know that your perspective isn't 100% right, and your take isn't, but if you overlay them together, it gives you a better picture of what is accurate and what is real. And so I think welcoming other perspectives helps you.
Yes, but where do the negative narratives come from then? Where do they come from?
I think it comes from how we've dealt with past experiences. I think it's got to do a lot with, whether you have a negative or a positive self-talk, I think has a lot to do with your home of origin, is what they call it in therapy, your family of origin.
Could it be when your inner child gets hurt by stuff that happens in your life?
Absolutely.
When your inner child only sees one side of the coin, chances are he's going to be skewed when it comes to those emotions in that regards, I think.
What I think is interesting and kind of crazy about parenting is that I honestly think as parents a little bit, there's no way to do it. There is no way to parent kids without creating some sort of trauma in their lives, I think. Because I think no matter how far, I believe God is the only perfect being, Jesus Christ. Yeah. And so if your parent is not God or Jesus Christ, then I think they're going to create problems for you. But that was part of it. I honestly believe that was part of the plan here on earth, that we would all come down here. We would be raised by these imperfect parents that would create challenges in our lives that then the rest of our lives we would spend trying to figure out how to undo those challenges that they gave us. Because it's like, if you sit here, you can just look back over the past generations and you see how we shifted from like the leave it to beaver, that sort of mindset, to then, you know, a really free, like as society shifts in one direction or another, it just creates other problems. It's not like we ever reach a point where it's like, oh, we've reached utopia and all society is perfect. We've solved all the problems. It's like we overcorrect and then a different problem comes up.
Yes.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes, I agree with that. I definitely think, well, I just think that parenting, you know, is difficult only in regards to the kids you have. But at the same time, I think that parenting for me, I think it's either black or white. I think that kids, if they know they can get away with something, they're going to continue to do it. And you have to put your foot down to stop it. Otherwise, they'll continue to do it. I just think that that's how they are. It's like trusting. It's like, would you trust an 11-year-old to drive your car with you in it?
No.
Well, that's what you're allowing to do when you allow them to do what they want to do on their own. You're allowing them to drive the car by themselves.
I think it's different because I'm not allowing them to drive my car. They're driving their car. They're learning. So what Todd, I think what you're bringing up is we have a very different parenting styles. I parent a lot more with like allowing my kids to have agency and little bits at a time, and allowing them to. The kids are homeschooled.
Yes.
So they have a lot of autonomy and a lot of say over how they use their free time. And I actually think it's by design, right? When they were little, they used the playtime to, you know, play and make believe and dress up and all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah, everybody does that.
And as they make choices, there will be consequences, right? Like, so they have certain work that they're supposed to do every day. And if I get busy, I don't necessarily check and see, hey, did you do it every day? I'll ask them usually, did you do it every day? But they'll lie and tell me they did and they didn't really. And so then when it comes to like the end of the week and I go to check and say, hey, are you done with the allotted work they were supposed to do that week and it's not done? Then it's a reckoning. And then we figure out, and what you're getting at is that you think that the punishment should be more stiff and strict. Like I typically make it, you're grounded till it gets done, or we work out a plan to bring it back into check for them. But I actually think there's so much learning that goes on in that refining and looking at, oh, look at the consequence, and then learning from that they would miss out on if I was just with an iron fist say, no, you have to do it this way. They wouldn't be learning as much.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Do you think it should be cut and dry for crimes? So like Are
we talking about adults or are we talking about children?
No, children.
Because that's the key
children
difference.
too. Children too. If a child goes out and robs something, should we just work it out and talk with his parents? Or should there be consequences for his actions?
I think there should always be consequences for actions. I'm not arguing that there shouldn't be consequences.
All right. Then we can move on.
Okay.
What's next?
So I think how we got off on that tangent though was we were talking about where does where does our self-talk's tone originate? And I think it's childhood. Do you agree with that?
I think it's part of its childhood. I think it's what we go through, not just in childhood, but I think even as an adult, it can come into your head because you could truly believe, you could have all the positiveness growing up, but if you're backing your face against the wall and you're not making progress as an adult, it's going to create those negative things inside of you, and you're going to have a hard time trying to change them.
Absolutely.
It's like, the average person trying to be a star or a singer, it doesn't happen overnight. People think that, oh man, I can sing good and I'm going to be a star overnight. Nope, that's not going to work. There's time you got to put in. Everyone has to, it's like a business. If you're in a business, you can't just jump in and be the CEO. You're going to have to learn about the business, start at the bottom, work your way up, and then you'll know more about it once you get to the top. No one's going to just come and say, hey, would you like to be president of the car company? You don't know anything about cars, it ain't going to work. You're probably going to tank the company.
Yeah, you have to put in your time and pay your dues.
And it's the same thing with show business, same thing with singers, same thing with, I think, playing, if you want to be the best golfer, you got to play like Tiger Woods did as a kid all the way to that point. But I think that at some point you will get to if you're not succeeding, you're not seeing the opening, that's when the negative is going to come in and say, oh, this is disastrous. But I truly believe that's the devil coming in your brain telling you you're not going to ever make it. And you could be right at the door about to succeed, but he wants to just drag you back and draw out you getting to where you want to get to longer because he wants to put roadblocks in front of you.
Yeah.
And I think that it's all up here. We have to truly believe. Like when I was a kid, I knew what I was going to be. I knew what I was going to be. Nothing could tell me any different. And I became that. Now, as an adult, because I've had such swayed views, I've seen some crazy things, what gets in the way is myself. Nothing else gets in the way. If I truly believe that this is where I want to be again and I'm going that direction, my head could bring me backwards. And I allow the devil to push me back and keep moving. But if I just truly believe and know that everything's going to be all right, he's not going to let me starve, things are going to move forward when they're supposed to. And that's the key, when they're supposed to.
Right.
You know, we think we know better a lot of times than God. We do. We think, you know, this is going to happen. And God, why am I not there? There's a reason why you're not there yet. God is keeping you back for a reason. Maybe you need to learn something before you get to that spot again, or maybe you need to heal something inside of you before you move forward.
Yeah. Well, and I actually like what you're saying about that. I do think that our negativity and positivity, obviously it shifts all the time, right?
Yes.
You can go through mood swings throughout your day. And actually something we were talking about recently about our responsibility, like what is our responsibility when it comes to being negative or positive? I actually think that we have a responsibility to be positive and happy, like spread like that cheerfulness and that happiness. I actually think we need to own that. Like you were saying earlier today, that if you are feeling negative inside, that you kind of have that filter in place. I think that is a very critical part of being a good person as far as like interacting with others. Like you wouldn't go out there without brushing your teeth and go like in somebody's face and be like, hello, like with that bad breath permeating everywhere.
Some people do.
I mean, I like to think of our attitudes and our moods like personal hygiene, right? It's because it spreads, man. If somebody comes in the house or in the office or wherever, and
but
they
not
have that.
everyone has personal hygiene. You have to remember that. You ever been next to a plane where somebody who's just didn't use none? You'd be like, oh my God.
Okay, so which is worse? If somebody were to come in a really good mood and like super positive, but they have not brushed their teeth in a week and they haven't showered.
I'd rather they come in a bad mood and smell good. Because I ain't got to talk to you, but at least my nose won't be offended, making my stomach offended, making me throw up.
So, okay, personal hygiene is priority number one.
Personal hygiene, I think, to me, personal hygiene is everything.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about that. I
just want this to get added to the list. That's all. I just think taking control of your attitude should be on that list.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
you're right. It can go below showering, bathing, and brushing your teeth.
It doesn't all the time. I think that sometimes there's going to be problems where you can't get past it for a few, and it takes time to move past it.
Absolutely. Can you think of experiences, because you have a unique experience growing up in the public eye like you did. Can you think of situations where you had this negative self-talk happening and it actually created bad results? Or was it?
Well, when you're in the public eye, which is usually all the time, you have to understand, if you're in a bad mood, you don't go out. You just don't go out. Because if you go out, someone's going to say something really stupid and you're going to say something really nasty back. And they forget that you're a human being. They think that you are not human, that you are supposed to be, when they say something stupid, you go, yeah, my mom is a whore, that kind of stuff.
Is that a recent rule you have for yourself?
No, it's always been like that.
Even as a teen, you lived by that.
If I had a really bad day, you just don't go out, because if you go out, chances are you're going to say something really nasty to somebody, because, that's how, that's life. It's how life is. Yeah. But, you go out when you're in a semi-decent mood or a decent mood, so you can say, oh, people say something stupid, you go, that guy's crazy. You can smile and keep walking. Not, F you and your mom, you know what I mean? Because that's why when you see usually a celebrity having a very bad day and he's cussing somebody out, that dude shouldn't have went out, because he had something happened at home. You know what I mean? It's always a thing where when a guy is in a really bad mood and he's married, you go, he must have had a rough morning with his wife this morning, because he's mad at everybody, or she must have had a hard time with her husband, you know what I mean? Because, man, she is upset, or the kids gave her a hard time, and when she got out, it ended up on someone else. And unfortunately, they don't see people who are in the public eye as being, regular people. They don't. They see you as being something different. And it's unfortunate. We are just like everyone else. We still got to poop, eat, and sleep, like everyone else.
That's true.
It's like someone sees that, that top model, and they go, oh man, I bet her poop don't stink. Yes, it does.
Oh,
like everybody
geez.
else. No, I'm serious. People think that. People really believe that.
Really?
Yes. People believe that.
Okay. That makes me think of that one girl that made all that money selling her jarred farts.
Yeah, that was just
That's so gross.
Literally. But here's the thing. Is it gross that she was doing it, or is it gross that people bought it?
I don't know. Will anybody buy your farts, do you think?
I am not selling my farts. That
Should we
is
start
disgusting.
bottling them?
No, that's nasty. But she actually got sick from that because she was eating food that makes her have gas more.
Really?
And it made her really sick.
Oh my goodness.
But anybody that buy her farts, they buy people's bath water too.
Oh, that's really gross.
I know, it's all disgusting, but people do that. People are, we live in a country where people are crazy. They buy all kind of weird stuff.
So before we leave this topic, I want to just cover something about, like, when you're doing this, when you're talking about reframing your negative thoughts, I think one of the things that often can get confused is the difference between like self-reflection and self-sabotage. So when we are thinking about, maybe critically about things that we could improve, it's okay to like take an inventory and take stock and say, you know what, I could do a little better with this.
Well, yes,
but there's a difference between that and just berating and never feeling like we can measure up and just having these kind of self-attacking. And I think one of the key ways we keep self-reflection from becoming self-sabotage is probably to limit the amount of things that we allow ourselves to ruminate on and want to fix. Like, you can't fix like 20 things at once.
No, but what I have learned, okay, like I used to see my father in a lot of people. And what I had to learn was that person is not my father. That person did not hurt me. So, that person could say something to me and he may totally be harmless to how he's saying it. And that's what I had to learn overall. That was the biggest thing I had to learn. I think that a lot of people that have been hurt by their fathers, or I even think mothers,
or other people,
I think they have a tendency sometimes to be harder on people that maybe in their lives that may not have they have nothing to do with it, but we have to stop seeing our parent in that person. You know what I mean? So we have to, take it a lot differently and we go, okay. So when you're self-reflecting inside, you have to self-reflect and go, okay, that person did not hurt me, and I'm not hurt right now. Why am I being so mean? I need to apologize and move myself forward. And apology to yourself, that's the biggest thing. Because I think that the little kid inside of us always needs to hear that we're sorry for what we've done to ourselves, which is, put ourselves in bad situations or say the wrong thing to someone. I think that it's important that we realize that person is hurt and needs healing.
Right, that we hear what they're trying to say.
Yeah.
I like that. And I was actually kind of thinking at it from a little bit of a different perspective of that when we're thinking about things that we want to improve on, that we're careful with ourselves about about how we go about it. Like, especially, we talked about this when we were talking about New Year's resolutions. Last season, we were talking about how to kind of set those goals rather than just make like a laundry list of all the ways that we're terrible and all the things we're going to change, but focusing instead on just a couple things that we could change and that, think about in terms of a more realistic, actionable change instead of just making a list of things you don't like about yourself, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what I'm meaning is that when you're going throughout life as you're correcting yourself, because you do that, right? As an adult, you are the one responsible for correcting and adjusting. Like, we have parents that help us with that as we're growing, but as an adult, you have to catch yourself and be like, I was too harsh, or like you were saying, or like, I need to be more responsible. Like, I wasted too much time today, or things like that. So I'm not saying that we can't have any of that constructive criticism with ourselves, but we should be careful that we're not just demeaning and being so negative that we can't actually even see a way forward, that we're looking at in more measurable, realistic snippets, and we're focusing on actionable ways to move forward instead of just self-deprecating.
Well, that's why I have learned that no matter what I'm going through or what I'm dealing with, that I know there's always an out and there's going to be a fix. I think a lot of times people get caught in, like, they're going through something or something's happening and they get so caught up with all that crap that's going on around them. And I truly believe that's just the devil blocking your blessings. He's putting stuff in front of you to make you look at only that, only focus on that. and not focus on what's going to happen for you in the rest of your life. And I think that's the times that people have to understand that if you worry about what's on the surface, it's like, do you worry about what's on the surface of your phone, or should you worry about what's inside of your phone?
Right.
It's what's inside of your phone.
Well,
because
I mean,
if water gets on the surface,
what about your phone case?
Hold on. If water gets on the cover, it's not going to hurt you. But if water gets inside, it damages your phone.
Oh, so like as you're going through the challenges, letting it run off. I see.
You have to let it run off and run off the outside, and don't take it in internally and allow it to block you from your blessings that God wants to give you.
Yeah, don't let it corrupt and completely ruin you. I see that. I love that. All right. Well, this has been a fun discussion, and I'm excited about this season 2. We're starting a new thing called Todd Flicks, where you're going to share, kind of your watch list.
Yes, my watch list. Well, this week I've been watching The Prodigal Son, and I think it's really, really good. The Prodigal Son is a lot like it's. Where I won't tell you everything about it, but I will say that.
Where can you stream it at? Where is it at?
You can stream it. I don't know where it's. I think it's on Paramount Plus. Or no, it's on.
We'll look it up. We'll link up. Yeah. We'll link up to it. We'll link it up.
But what's good about it? It's about a guy who is he's a police forensic guy, but he maps out, who people are and what they are. Like a profiler. He's a profiler, exactly. He's a profiler. And the interesting part about it is his father is a serial killer. Oh.
Who's in jail?
Yeah, he got caught.
Okay.
And he's in jail, but he goes back to his father sometimes for, to help him, but he just really hates his father. And then he has a sister and a mother, and none of them knew what he was doing. He killed
the dad.
No one knew what the dad was doing.
Wow.
How
many kids did he have?
Two kids and a wife. Yeah.
Wow. So are the kids messed up?
Very much so.
I would imagine.
The one guy cannot sleep well. The daughter kind of is doing okay because she got away from all of it, and just kind of which is interesting is she is becoming a very successful reporter. She's gotten away from all of it, and she just let it glance off and said, well, that's just who he is, and I'm not going to let that ruin my life. She's doing well. The son is the one having all the emotional issues.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So without ruining giving away any spoilers, can you tell me how old the kids were when they found out he was?
Well, that's what the boy is suffering with. The daughter was younger.
Okay.
But the boy, he saw something downstairs in the father's office, and the father
before he was caught,
the father chloroformed him and told him it was all not true.
Oh, so totally
so he's
gaslighted him.
So he has memories. And he doesn't have those memories right now. He doesn't know what's real and what isn't real.
Oh wow, this does sound like an interesting show.
It's really good. It's really good. Well acted. It's everything. The guy who plays the father, he's an amazing actor. The guy who plays the son is a really good actor. And the police officer is actually from Top Gun, the Indian from Top Gun, but he's not Indian.
I can't remember his name.
I can't think of his. He's one of my friends of mine, too.
It's got Tom Paine is the profiler.
Yes, Lou Diamond Phillips plays the police officer.
Okay. Yes. And Michael Sheen plays the serial killer. His serial killer name is the Surgeon.
Yeah, well, because he's a doctor.
Oh my gosh, he is?
Yes, he was a doctor.
Realize.
He was a doctor.
That's
a very famous doctor on top of it.
That's crazy.
Okay, he's a serial killer.
Well, dang, that sounds like a good one.
It is it is really, really good. I think they'll like it.
All right.
So it's called Profiler.
No, The Prodigal Son.
Oh, The Prodigal Son. Oh. I'm thinking about a whole different show.
Isn't there a show called The Profiler?
There is.
But this one's called Prodigal Son.
Prodigal
like the Bible.
Son. Yes.
The Bible story.
The Prodigal Son returns. But The Prodigal Son Returns is what that's about.
Ooh, okay.
All right. Good luck. Check it out.
I will see you next week.
I will not see you next week. I will see you next week. That's my inner child telling me something different. Dang is produced by my wife, Bettijo Bridges, in collaboration with Star Worldwide Network Studios, and edited by our daughter, Adelie Ann.
She's also the musician responsible for our theme music, so go check out Adelie Ann wherever you stream your music. Have a question or topic you want us to cover? Send us your suggestions at dangpodcast.com.
Do me a favor. Please subscribe and rate our podcast to make it easier for others to find. Have a great week.